Hello and welcome to the No Easy Way Out podcast. My name is Tony Nash, and we are coming to you as always from the Armory in beautiful downtown Owasso, Michigan, home to my company, AZ Business Solutions, where we help grow your brand from A to Z. Now, we are joined today by sisters Nick and Hay, Nicole Jenrow, and Haley McGillen. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Hello.
Thank you. Hello.
It's great to have you. This is our first time doing the Doublemint sisters here, the Doublemint twins. The first time having two guests on the show, so we're excited about that. But why don't you tell our audience what Nick and Hay are up to these days?
Well, I am the owner of Details and Daydreams Photography. I've been a full-time photographer for 9 years. Mm-hmm. Well, photographer for 8 years, full-time for 5 years. We shoot weddings. We blog.
Yes, you do.
We
vlog. Yes.
We do a lot of things. We sold clothes for a hot minute. That was fun.
And you do a lot of it together.
We do.
We basically do everything together.
Yeah.
So I have a full-time job,
You have a big girl job.
I have a big girl job,
yeah.
a 7 to 3:30, if you will.
Yeah.
So
I will.
Yeah. So I'm more like freelance. So when I'm home, I'm working on stuff for, Nicole, or I'm doing stuff for a local YouTuber and blogger. So I take care of a lot of social media things, sponsorship deals, things like that.
Yeah.
So creative and anything I can be.
Very, very cool. And so I see you guys on social media a lot. I mean, obviously we know about the photography a little bit. Mm-hmm. You guys help each other with that. You do the blogging, the vlogging, which is kind of the new cool thing.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not that new, but it's new to me. You do online training. You have some online training videos on your website to kind of help people introductory to some of the things. And now you're getting ready to start this new workshop thing.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk more about that. Not to mention, you guys have families, moms, dog moms, kids, wives, all that stuff. How do you balance all of this stuff? I mean, you guys are so busy.
I used to strive for the whole work-life balance. Like, that was on my goal list every year. This year is going to be the year for work-life balance. Yeah, but it's not I've discovered and accepted that it's not really a real thing. There's times to be mom and there's time to be business owner, and sometimes they overlap, and sometimes, my new thing is, waking up in the beginning of the day and knowing what I have to get done and just accepting it. If it's going to be an off day, I just have to accept it's going to be an off day.
Punches.
Yeah, spend the day with my family, be mom, do housework, do all of those things, and not let the business things. I can't feel guilty about those things. Right. So in the days that I have to wake up and hustle and get all the things done, that's what I have to do. I have to wake up and get all the things done and not feel guilty about the dishes not getting done. And it's just
right.
You have to set your intentions each morning and just.
Well, I would say that pretty much every day I wake up in just a mild panic, not a heavy panic, but in a mild panic, oh my goodness, I have more to do today than I could possibly get done. And I learned a long time ago that I'm going to disappoint somebody today.
Yeah.
And so I think to me, balance is about prioritizing who you're not going to disappoint. Like, I'm not going to disappoint my wife. I'm not going to disappoint my kids when I can help it. And then, of course, you have your clients, you have other things, and you never want to intentionally disappoint anyone, but when you try to be everything to everyone and all things to all people all the time, you end up burning yourself out.
100%.
Then you're not happy, and the people around you aren't happy. So I think prioritization or
unrealistic expectations is a huge thing.
Exactly.
You can't expect to please everyone all the time. It's impossible. It just doesn't happen.
For sure.
I have a really strong belief that my freelancing work and stuff, that's fun for me. So as long as I'm home in my comfy clothes, on my couch working, I don't mind it.
Right.
But I do have a very strict rule for myself that by 9:30 at the latest, I am done working. I put my, computer away. It's social media for fun. I have to have that time to wind down and, reel it in, or else I won't sleep and I'll be up all night.
Yep.
More so than I am anyways. But so that's a very it's something that I've followed, I think, my whole life is by 9 o'clock, by 9:30, it's time to just take me time.
That's a great way to live by. I know for me,
Teach me, will you, please?
Teach me your ways. For sure, I could learn something there, because I know for me, for the first part of my career, I spent the first 7 years of my adult life, or as I was learning to be an adult, as a youth pastor and then an associate pastor. which is a 24/7 gig. I mean, when somebody calls and they're going to the hospital, they're sick, you can't say, well, it's bedtime, you know.
Right.
And then I was a hotelier for 10 years, which is another 24/7 gig. The hotel's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. People used to ask me, like, if you could change anything about the hotel, what would it be? And I would always say, I would just like to pick like 3 days a year that the hotel closes so that
Right.
I can go to bed knowing I'm not going to get a call. And
Yeah.
so I just learned it to be available to my guests 24 hours a day. And so then when I started this business, I kind of lived by that same motto, and I made myself available to my clients 24 hours a day. And I found that I didn't have to do that anymore.
Right.
And then when I really noticed it is when I started hiring people, and then my clients were not just bugging me at 11 o'clock at night, and they're not bugging my employees who are not happy about it and are frustrated. Right. And so trying to just say, when I go home, it's time to be home. There is such a thing as business hours. It's good to be accommodating to your clients and to help and to, be available. But, there are other things that are more important. So I've tried recently, as much as I can, I don't even bring my computer home with me, which is just liberating, because every time I'm home, I think of something that I should do, but when it's not there, you can't do it. So
I've been taking a lot of little trips lately. Like, I'm gone for 2 or 3 days, 3 or 4 days.
We're all jealous. We notice all the trips you're taking. You tell us all about it on social media.
But like,
we all have FOMO of Nicole.
The one like next week, I'm thrilled about, because I don't even have cell signal. Like, I have to walk to the beach to make a phone call. So the fact that I will have no connection to the outside world for 2.5 days makes me really excited.
It can be a beautiful thing. Like we like to go. It's kind of the Michigan thing. You go up north.
Yeah.
Anything north of Clare is like amazing. So like for me, the only place in the world, honestly, that I've been able to find that I can shut my phone off and just relax is when I get north of Clare. Like something about that rest stop there that you pass on 127, like the air just changes, and I'm like, all right, I don't need to do anything right now, and I can put it all away. So that's very important. Part of balance is just making sure that you have downtime, time for your loved ones, time for the things that you just enjoy, doing something that's fun, whatever that is, time to decompress. So so I want to talk now a little bit about your guys' journey into entrepreneurship and your business and all the different things that you're doing. And like I said, those who follow you on social media, and if you don't, we're going to tell you here in a minute how you can find them on social media, but you should. But you guys seem so close on social media, and you seem to have this bond. Have you guys always been close like that?
No, not until our 20s, I would say. It was, I mean, we were always each other's constant, because our parents divorced when we were young. We bounced back and forth. Right. So we were always each other's constant. We were always there, but I don't think we really got close until I got out of college. Okay. I would guess.
I think
my accident, even, I don't
more as you got into college, like you started to hate me a little less. But it's funny because we went out to dinner with one of her friends who's become my friend. We went to dinner with her in the winter, and she's like, "I am so surprised how much you guys do things together, because you used to hate each other." Yeah. She's like, "I am surprised, you didn't snap each other's limbs off." So we were definitely not always this close.
Yeah, it took us getting into our 20s to spending a lot of time together. And I think, I mean, even when I started my photography business and she started second shooting with me, I think that's when it all really started. We started spending a lot more time together, and our visions kind of came together for things. So, and we were just realized that we really liked
How
each other.
Close are you in age?
2.5 years. I'm 2.5 years younger.
Yeah.
So this gives me hope, because I have 2 sons. My 2 oldest sons, they're about 15 months apart, and they are like mortal enemies. I mean, literally, I'm driving down the road a couple weeks ago, and I look back, and they're unbuckled in my Suburban, and they're fist fighting in the back seat. And I'm like, they're 13 and 14, and I'm like, my goodness, you guys hate each other. And me and my sister had our little things, but I think a brother and a sister is different than brothers or sisters. Yeah. And I just sometimes like, man, are these guys ever going to get along? And we have this verse in the Bible, Hebrews 13:1. I make them say it. It says, "Let brotherly love continue." Yeah. So like, let brotherly love continue. Like, there's no meaning. But this gives me hope that there is a future of maybe
It'll
them getting
happen.
For sure.
Okay.
I mean,
as you grow up, you just kind of appreciate each other more.
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't feel like we're the exception, because I know a lot of siblings that are close, but at the same time, like, my mom's throwing, you have to have another kid into the ring. You have to give Presley siblings so you can be close, like, you and Haley are. Yeah. But granted, there's people that aren't close like we are. I just, I think it's a personality thing, and we've grown.
Okay, so whose idea then was it to not just start a business. I mean, I want to go back to like when it started, but also whose idea was it to say, let's try to do this together?
So the photography thing has been kind of my jam. She has second shot with me, so pretty much every wedding for the last 6 years has been her and I together. So when it comes to weddings, we're two peas in a pod. I do all the other shoots and stuff like that by myself, but I rebranded a couple years ago from Nicole Lifestyle Photography to Details and Daydreams, and I remember bouncing ideas off of her for forever to come up with a new name. And I'm a detail junkie. That's one of my favorite parts of weddings. And I'm a daydreamer. I'm constantly coming up with new things that I want to do. So
it's a cool name.
And I wanted to be something different. I wanted it to be something that,
Well, and at that time too, we had kind of like talked about dipping our toes into like wedding rental, like, vases and things like that, just because we do it so much that it could kind of be a package deal. So we kind of tried to get away from just
a specific photography name. We wanted to be a brand more so. And then from there, it kind of rewrote that out. And then after Presley was born, Haley said, I was running like a little boutique type deal out of my house, and it was kind of a nightmare. And Haley was like, why don't we sell LuLaRoe? And I shot it down. And then I think it was like 2 a.m. one day, I texted her. I was like, all right, let's sell LuLaRoe. Like, let's do it. So we did that for 2 years, and we killed it. We did. It was so fun. We built up a following just of people that loved us together and loved our banter.
Loved our lives.
Yeah. And we did really well. It was so much work, and to be doing photography full time, her working full time, and all that.
I mean, that in itself was a full time job.
For
so
sure.
trying to juggle that with everything else.
For sure.
It got to be too much, and then.
So we got out of LuLaRoe, but we're constantly looking for different ways that we can do things together. So we started the blog, and that's been fun, but that was just something else too that we haven't had a ton of time to focus on because I'm focusing on new things. She's working on new things. So, but it's like no matter what we're working on, we're constantly bouncing ideas off of each other, and it might be my thing or her thing, but it's still.
But the blog has been very popular with people.
Yeah.
People love it.
Yeah, we haven't done a YouTube video in a minute, and somebody was like, when are you going to post another video?
You're doing one right now.
Someone asked us that yesterday, right? On our post on our We're Sisters. It went to our Facebook, and they're like, we just followed your channel. Are you going to post anytime soon? I'm like, oh, we probably could. I mean, we have enough to say.
Yeah, for sure. So you actually, Haley, had like a viral video that's had over 2 million hits, right? Talk us a little about that video.
So I work for a YouTuber that is out of Flushing. And Nicole actually got her channel started with her. Nicole met her first, and then I kind of just fell into this job. So she posted a video on her YouTube of how to be a classy lady. And so now her video has, if not 2 million, pretty close to it. And so that is, her channel's growing rapidly. And so now I take care of all of her back end work, sponsorships and things like that. So, I take care of her blogs and all of her content posting like that. So
well, if you've been, as I have, wondering how to be a classy lady, you need to look that video up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. That's a good one.
Okay, good. So about how long ago did this all really start happening? Like, when was the first time you said 8 years ago you started doing photography?
9 years ago, I started doing photography, and I was working full time, and it was just like a side hustle.
Yeah.
And I did that for 4 years, and then I quit my full-time job and have been doing it ever since. So you're on year 6 of weddings with me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good. And so really just about everything you guys do, you do together a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it is
everything.
more dominant of each person. But,
for sure.
But you guys, I know we were talking about a little bit before the podcast about the different strengths each of you have and playing to those strengths. And I think that's so important. If you can find someone that you trust, a sibling, someone that you're close to. But a lot of people, I remember there was a time when I ran a hotel in New York. There I didn't have any family, so I didn't have to worry about family members asking for jobs. But I remember when I came back here, I actually was the general manager of the Comstock, which is, for those of you listening, that's a full-service hotel located downtown in our town here. And I remember telling the owners, like, I have a policy, I don't hire friends and family. And I was probably, 30, 31 at that time, and I was just adamant that I was not going to hire family members. And I guess it was because I never wanted to get to the point where I had to fire one of them or discipline one of them. But Have you guys ever had any concerns about that, or having to worry, like, what if there's this huge disagreement, or have you had big disagreements, and how do you overcome them?
There's a lot of rage
gosh.
texting that happens, but it doesn't last long. And
Right,
we
and
usually just both need a chance to calm down and
Texting can be good because then you can just get out all the
everything
words
at one
that you
time.
wanted to say.
Yeah.
But
She
then
just,
somebody
I
does
think,
it
puts me on silent and puts
Yeah.
her phone away and lets me get it all out, and then
Yeah.
she ignores me.
She's like, "Are you good now?"
I have to, step back because I'm a pretty calm person until, well, maybe calm's not the best word, but until I can get to a point where like my words will cut like a knife. So
Yeah.
at that point, it's just better for me to be like, I can't say anything because I'm going to say something I regret.
My
So-
dad will
Yeah.
call me and be like, "What is going on? What is happening?
Yeah.
Let's just stay out of it."
We'll work it out.
Yeah.
We'll work it
Well,
out.
and we
At least
did
you're not in the
have-
back of the Suburban fist fighting with
I
the
mean,
seatbelt off.
correct.
That used to happen.
Yeah.
for sure.
I pushed her down the stairs a time or two.
We did have an incident. Actually, the day I got engaged, we got in an epic
I was
fight.
I did everything but buy the ring. I picked it out. I ordered it. I helped him with everything. We planned the whole day. I mean, I was so excited. I've been waiting for him to propose to her for so long, and she was so mean all day.
We
And
got
then he
into it.
proposed, and she was.
I thought you said you were good with bridezillas.
Yeah.
Hey now,
I mean, I was her maid of honor, but it was
Yeah.
we got in an argument on the way to. So he proposed to me at the Detroit Zoo, like during the Christmas time. So
yeah,
all
during
the
the
lights,
lights,
yeah.
yeah.
And so on the way there, we got into this epic fight, and I was so mad. And so we went out to dinner beforehand, and I sat in the car. We were
Setting the romantic
and
mood.
then I had my daughter, and I had to nurse, so she went inside so I could come out and sit in the car. Like, she wouldn't even sit in the car with me. Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah.
And then they got engaged, and I was like, "Just be nice to me."
She was crying.
Yeah,
you
I
know
was-
what I've been doing?
Yeah, she was crying because she's like, "It's the happiest day of your life, and you hate me." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, now I'm feeling such a jerk."
Some of this sounds so familiar. I think anyone out there that's listening that has siblings can understand
Yeah,
that.
for sure.
And I guess I would like to know if someone out there is listening and they are thinking about going into business with a family member or with a sibling, but they have some apprehensions. What would be some advice you'd give them to make sure that, it's family first? At the end of the day, business is business, but family has to kind of make it through.
Grace. Have grace, because it's. I mean, any kind of business is high emotion. Especially when you're passionate about different things, or if it's one of your passions and you're just, hiring somebody, a sibling to help. You got to keep perspective, and it's just a job. It's just work, and family is way more important, and,
Right.
A much higher priority.
And I think you have to go into it to kind of like, we are, sure, have a good relationship beforehand. Like, we have a
Yeah.
strong,
Yeah.
rock solid relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that if
You don't want to go into business when you're already fighting with all the time.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think if we were as close as we are, that it would work
No.
nearly as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I necessarily have advice for it. It's just you have to know your relationship with your
Yeah.
sibling in
Right.
general.
Right. Well, I mean, I've heard people say never go into business with family or never hire family. And I think, there probably are instances where it has turned out to be a bad thing. But I think if you're committed to each other and you have the
Right.
grace that you're looking for, I think it can work. And you guys are a testimony to that. So I want to talk a little bit now about social media. I think it's become such a dominant force in the world today. It's really changed society. Some people would say for the better. Some people would say for the worse. But it's certainly changed entrepreneurship. It's opened up so many opportunities. I mean,
Absolutely.
I don't think we've even tipped the iceberg of what the internet is going to make available to us as
Yeah.
human beings,
For
as
sure.
business owners. And actually, I think the way we met was through social media. I had posted a job posting, and you and your sister Dreamer, you kind of saw it and thought, maybe I'd like to try this. And
Yeah.
after us talking, we realized that, you probably didn't have the time to
Right.
to commit to what we were doing, and you were probably, we couldn't afford you anyways because you're you're on your own level there, but that's kind of how we connected, and then
Yeah.
we ended up following each other on social media,
Yep.
and that's kind of really how we even know each other. And I think social media, opens up opportunities to meet new people and make those kind of connections. But when it comes to social media, do you think that it's a important part of your business, or do you think that businesses can kind of get by? And because I know a lot of business owners that I don't want anything to do with social media, and I find that they're struggling. But what's your opinion on that?
I think it depends on the business. Like,
Okay.
I mean, let's say, Haley just set up a Facebook page for a doctor's office. It's a little bit different than it would be, you know what I mean, for my photography business. I wouldn't be where I am now if it wasn't for Facebook. There were times where I wish I could have deleted my Facebook and left the app and never looked back, but I can't. I mean, it's and Facebook and social media has brought me clients that are now friends and that I've watched their families grow, and it is the biggest honor to be able to shoot someone's engagement pictures and then their wedding and then be the first to know when they're pregnant and then do their maternity pictures and be one of the first people to meet their newborns and
catalog their journey.
And I get to watch their families grow, and it's the biggest blessing, and I wouldn't have that if it wasn't for Facebook. Now, do I utilize Instagram like I should for my photography business? Probably not, but Facebook works for me, and I mean, you're battling algorithms and, you know, all the things changing constantly.
For sure.
But I just do what I've always done, and it's worked. And you know, when it gets to the point where it doesn't, then we'll reevaluate.
There you go. Yeah, but it certainly changed the business world.
I don't necessarily know that like it's a social media platform like Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or something like that. But I definitely think having a digital presence is so important. Whether it's, you know, I'm really big on like newsletters because that's the one thing that you own your subscribers. Like when the Facebook algorithm changes, when the Instagram algorithm changes, your subscribers to your newsletter are going to see your newsletter if you're putting them out. So I think that's a big one. And, you know,
it's a good point.
Yeah. So having all of these, like, you know, digital ads like that, like you have a way to track your progress of who's seeing it and how you're getting out there. Whereas with just paper flyers or things like that, like you can't track who's seeing that. So I do think digital media and social media has made a world of impact on these, you know,
and ways of marketing.
Yeah,
for sure.
and marketing, and made it easier for, you know, jobs that didn't exist before to exist now. So
Yeah.
I know my company probably would not be, I know it wouldn't be where it's at today if it weren't for social media. Part of what we do is we manage social media accounts. We manage almost 70 social media accounts. And there are certainly industries where it's just easy. Like, you know, we have a smokehouse that we promote for, and like it's just easy to get followers. Everybody loves barbecue. Everybody loves a good steak. Everyone loves a good burger. And so it has mass appeal. But then we have other clients that, you know, we have like a trucking company, or we have like a landscaper, we have a florist, and the whole way we have to post for them is completely different. And their engagement sometimes is different based on what they do. But I'm a believer that, like you said, you should have a digital presence, you know, and I think it's already headed that way. But I think, you know, in the next 5 to 10 years, if people can't find you online, you just don't exist.
Absolutely.
For
because
sure.
everybody wants to find everything from their smartphone. So I think it's important that you have a digital presence. And I tell people this all the time. Social media right now, it's free to have an account. So just have one. Even if you don't actively post, like have a Twitter, have a Facebook, have a YouTube, have a Pinterest, have a
Nobody wants to search for anything. They want to Google it and find it immediately. They like instant. You know what I mean? Instant results. So make yourself as easy to be found as you possibly can.
As possible. Yeah. Well, like I said, for us, it's amazing to me how many people have come just out of the blue. Hey, we saw this post that you did, and we saw that you do websites, or we saw that you do graphic design, and someone you never met, never had a referral, but it's a help. So I think that it's important that people take the time. I've heard a lot of people say, I just don't have the time for it. And I know it's time consuming. I mean, I told you guys that our own social media probably gets the least amount of attention of all the accounts we manage, but we've really focused in the last several months of really putting time into that and putting out content as many places as we can. So I want to talk a little bit more now about your new workshop that you guys are going to be doing, all about clarity and direction. And so we talked about all the different things you guys have going on with the photography, the blogging, the vlogging, the newsletters, full-time job, mothers, weddings, kids, all of these different things. And, you know, you're really focused in your lives right now on clarity, having direction. So talk a little bit about your workshop and when that's going to be available and what you're working on there, and then we'll get into more about why those things are so important in business.
So last year was probably one of the best years I've had in my photography business. I was literally living the life that I dreamed of 5 years ago. I was full-time. I was making great money. I was going to the gym. I was making my own schedule. I was spending time with my family. Like, I was exactly where I wanted to be. But I spent the whole year feeling like, okay, now what? Like, something's not there. I don't know what it is, but something's not there. So throughout the course of the end of the year last year, I was looking around just at different jobs online because I was like, I don't need a job, but and even talking to you, because I think that kind of fell right in that same time. I'm just trying to figure out what's missing.
You had said that. You're like, I don't even know why I'm here. I just thinking about trying something new. Yeah.
Yeah. So I stumbled into, I'd found a posting. I'd stumbled into the realm of life coaching, and I was fascinated. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to sign up for a certification course. If anything, I'm going to learn more about myself. And I got partway through, and I was like, holy crap, this is it. Like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't know what, but this is it. So I ended up hiring my own coach because what better way to figure things out than, you know what I mean? So and my coach her name is Sarah. She's from Portugal. She's amazing. Her story is just as incredible. So she's been my guiding light for the last 7 months. And so I've been working with her and just trying to figure out, do I want to do one-on-one coaching? Do I want to do group coaching? Like, I came up with this entire program, but nothing felt right. Nothing like I was just trying to figure this all out. And I was having a conversation with two of my best friends one night, and I was like, I've got all of the stuff to share, but I just don't know how to get it to people. And my friend was like, well, why don't you start talking to high school kids? And it was 11 o'clock on a Sunday night, and my intro to photography course online was launching the next morning. And I was up until 4 a.m., and I wrote a speech, and I wrote all the stuff, and the workshop kind of manifested itself. Yeah. So the workshop is called The Clarity Concept, and it is going to be for high school juniors and seniors, maybe more so for seniors, but starting in the fall, I'll be going to different high schools and speaking. And as far as the speaking goes, this is things that I wish I would have known when I was a high school. Like, if I would have known
they don't teach in high school.
If I would have known the things at 18 that I know now, and I know it's life experience, but just some of the simple things of the 5 people that you surround yourself with are a reflection of who you are as a person, and the importance of setting goals, and the importance of a positive mindset, and just so many little things. So I actually spoke to a local high school before they graduated, and I got great feedback from them. And so I kind of took all of that and kind of poured my heart and soul into this workshop. And the purpose of it is not for these kids to go into it and be like, oh, okay, I know exactly what I'm going to do with my life. Because that's not it. You have to kind of figure that out. But it's more so to, like, help kids find fulfillment. The statistic is 80% of 20-somethings want to change their career path. And that statistic blows my mind. Those are kids coming out of college with... the kids coming out of college with bachelor's degrees and with master's degrees, and they get into the workforce, and they're there for a year, and they realize, I hate this. Right. Like, I picked something just
all
to pick it.
All too common.
Yeah, and it's sad. So my new mission is to change that statistic. Like, that's what I want to do, and that's what I hope the workshop will do, is kind of have these kids really dive deep and really think about the things that inspire them and the things that they actually enjoy talking about and doing. And I'm not saying that every person's passion can make a living for them, but there's things that you enjoy that can be carried over to the things that you do for the rest of your life, that when you do get into the workforce and you get into work every day, you might have a bad day, but you still want to go back the next day.
Right. Well, and I would say, to add to that because of the internet, you almost can turn any passion into a living if you really go after it. I mean, if you're like obsessed with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like, there's a group of people online that are also upset, and you can sell merchandise, you can start a blog about turtles, you can do a video, and you can make money doing that. So I mean, if you're passionate about something, you really can.
You can.
And I think what you're talking about is so important, because I've been saying for years, like, we really got to start to think about how we educate children. It has to change, not just the curriculum, because, you know, I think history is vitally important. I think arithmetic and understanding math principles, science, English, these things are all important. But some of the classes that they offer and even require, because of the access to information we have, they're really just not necessary anymore. And the thing is, the way people learn and the way people interact with each other and the way people do business, and we're not preparing young people for the way the world is today. It's like we're preparing them for the way the world was 20 years ago or 30 years ago, and we're kind of crippling them.
And that's the thing too, like, kids say like, well, I don't know what I want to do with, like, there's no difference between graduating high school and saying, I have no clue what I want to do with myself. I'm going to go take my basics. And then you spend thousands of dollars in the basics and still have no clue what you want to do.
Right.
And then you realize, well, I want to go into a trade. And now you've wasted $15,000
exactly
taking the basics, when my hope is that this course or this workshop, if kids choose to do it, it can possibly save them thousands of dollars and help them from bouncing all over the place.
Well, we put so much pressure on kids, and I know this is an unpopular opinion. I have 6 children, and there's like this idea that every kid has to go to college.
Yeah, no.
And I don't subscribe to that. Now,
No,
I think
absolutely not.
there is a value to a kid like going away and the college experience. There is some value to that, but it's not $20,000 a year value.
Right. Well,
it's not $10,000 a year value.
And depends on what field you want to go
Exactly.
into. Like if you obviously doctors and
law enforcement,
lawyers, things like that, you have to go to college.
There are certain things that require a college degree.
But it's funny. I was reading an article today. So like my background, my associate's degree is in fine arts. My job is in education. I work for the Shiawassee RESD. Like I'm a database specialist. So my education is not in that. And, my passion and what I ultimately want to do with my life is still in this creative arts field. But also, like, I was reading an article today that said, like, there's 10 things that they don't teach you in college that, graphic designers or artists need to know. And it's all of the important things of how to get clients, how to, properly build a portfolio, things like that. And it's like, I quit college halfway through my bachelor's degree for graphic design, and my parents were just so frustrated by that. But I was paying for college out of my pocket, and I would work full time and then go to school, not get out of class until 10. And I'm like, when I'm putting my own money into this and I don't have the desire to go home and do an assignment that someone else wants me to do that I have no interest in, why do I want to waste my money when I can learn these things online, learn how to really have a business? So
access to information.
Absolutely.
And not to mention that even in high school, I mean, they don't teach kids how to
pay your taxes.
Yeah, fill out I mean, when I was in the hotel, I used to hire a ton of kids coming out of high school because that's the people that applied for those jobs, and how to dress for an interview, how to look somebody in the eye, how to fill out a W-2 or an I-9. And these kids don't know any of that stuff, and they're not preparing them. And I think that we have to really evaluate the way that we're preparing people for real life. And I think we've subscribed to this philosophy that every kid is the same, so they need to be taught the same, and then they need to graduate high school and go to college, and then they get their 4-year degree, and then they can get a job. And again, that path is the right path for some people.
Absolutely.
And I'm not discounting that path, but I would say if you're going to college for like a general business degree or marketing degree, or that's no more valuable to most employers than a high school diploma.
Right.
And so like I've talked to my kids, like, you don't have to go to college.
Right.
But you're going to have a plan.
Right.
Absolutely.
You don't have to have your life figured out at 18 because nobody does, and it will change. I would have never thought I'm doing what I'm doing today at 18 years old.
Right.
And that's all right, but you're going to have a plan. You're not going to sit on the couch, and especially my couch, like you're going to do something with your life. But, I think I've seen so many young people that are still, I mean, I have a friend that's my age, and she still has college debt.
Yeah.
And she's worked as a server her whole life because she makes really good money doing it, and she enjoys it, and it gives her the flexibility to be a mom and a wife.
Right.
Yeah.
And she's never really pursued much in her degree because she probably can't make as much money, and she doesn't enjoy it. But she's still paying off this college debt. I mean, she's 39 years old.
Right.
It's insane to me. And so I think that's the story for a lot of people. So,
and I think, was it Rachel Hollis says it best, that you can learn everything you need to learn to run $1 billion company on Google?
Yeah. It's absolutely true.
And that's one thing I cover in the workshop is, like, is college for you? Is military? Like, if you want to learn discipline and want to travel and want your college to eventually be paid for, then, maybe look in the military or like online courses or trade schools. Trade schools are huge right now.
Trade schools are highly undervalued.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, I mean, people ask me that all the time, where'd you go to school? I went to Pensacola Christian College for 1 semester, and I realized that I was way too social to focus on studying and live on a college campus. Like, I had a 3.8 GPA in high school, and my first semester at college, I had like a 2.9 GPA. Like I just couldn't focus. There was
so much going on.
So many activities. Like how can I study, right? Like, and so
for sure.
So I have one semester of college under my belt, and then because I wanted to be a pastor, I went to this like pastors training institute, and I got an associate's degree that's not accredited, and it certainly doesn't help me in the business I'm in today. And so I didn't go to college for this. Everything I know here and that I've built this brand on, I learned by watching YouTube videos, going to a couple 2-day seminars, reading books. Like it can be learned, and it's all about. And so I think that's not being told to kids, and I think society is afraid to say that because they think it's going to promote some sort of apathy or kids being lazy. And
I think too, like with me going to speak to the schools, I'm relatable enough, and
you don't look like an old fogey.
Well, and I'm like, not only that, but like they're not hearing it from their teachers. You know what I mean? They're hearing it from somebody who I did that. I bounced from job to job, and I quit my full-time job with full benefits and bonuses and a 401k to pursue something that I was passionate about and pray that it works. Like, but if you don't dream big and chase those dreams, and then you're just going to always wonder what if.
Exactly. And I think it's awesome that schools are letting you do this. I mean, I am very interested in learning more about that because, I've often, as a manager of hotels for 10 years, I actually had thought about at one point of developing some sort of a curriculum that I could go in and teach just on the principles of getting a job, just how to get a job out of high school. Even a minimum wage job, like how to do it. Because if I interviewed 10 kids coming out of high school, like 9 of them would show up in like, cut off jeans and a, ratty out t-shirt, hat on backwards, can't look you in the eye, no resume, barely can fill out the application. And that could be a great kid, but most employers are going to look at that and say, I'm not hiring that person.
Yeah.
So they lose the opportunity right from and it's not really their fault. They've never been taught.
Right.
So I thought, I just want to teach kids like how to present themselves. And so I think it's awesome that schools are letting you go in and do that because there's such a need for it. And I think you're right, because it's not a class or a required thing that probably will have a good result.
I will say that, advocating for our county, for our schools, our counties have done a lot more. We have a great CTE program that has done a good job of going in and, showing kids how to fill out applications and helping them create
That's
resumes.
awesome.
And, I think schools are getting better at that too. But also, like, there's so much standardized testing that has to be done. So my office, we have teachers come in for trainings all the time. And my art teacher, my junior and senior year, like, I loved her. And she came in and was talking to me and, asked what I was doing. And I told her that I never finished my degree for graphic design. And she's like, well, that's the thing. Like, if you're not going to be a teacher, she's like, you spend all this money on school and you might not do anything with it and you don't need it. Like, if you have a good job and, you have the portfolio, like, you're gonna be okay.
It's
so
okay. Yeah.
It's that, old school mentality of our parents and the, I hate to say the older generation, but that older generation of that's how they lived. But times are changing, and you kind of, it's making them understand that things aren't the same as they were before.
And it's funny because I wish I could remember what book this was, but basically, like, public schooling was created to train kids to sit for 8 hours to prepare them to go work in a factory or go work on the line. So it wasn't so much to condition them to learn all the things. It was more so to condition them to sit in one place.
Do what society needed at that time.
For 8 hours to be able to go, work in a factory. And obviously times have changed, but we're still stuck in that. So,
well, and I can imagine the daunting task of, like, let's just rethink the whole education system.
Oh, for
That's
sure.
a big job.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think people are waking up to it, like you said, and people are recognizing, like, hey, this just isn't working. I think a lot of people say, well, let's just throw more money at it, and that's not. To me, that's not the solution. Like,
no.
You can have the most beautiful school and the best facilities, but that's not what's going to. People got to find a way to reach kids where they're at, find out how to connect with them, find out how to answer the real questions that they have. Answer the questions that they can't necessarily Google.
Right.
And I think, like I said, there are certain things that have to always be taught. I think it's important. But, no, that's very interesting. I'm excited to hear more about that and learn more about
I'm
that.
very excited.
When is that going to kick off? Is that this school year?
Yes, I'm getting ready. As I say we, she is creating all of the workbook. Like, I've got the content created, but the branding and the workbooks and all of the behind the scenes stuff is all her. So we're working to get the workbook done, and I'm going to start reaching out. I have 15 schools that I would love to be able to speak to in our county and surrounding counties before the end of 2019.
Awesome.
So I've already got a few schools for sure set up.
This
but
is
it's
high
just,
schools?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yep. And so my goal is to host at least 3 workshops. I mean, we're smaller schools around here, so if I can get at least 100 or so kids in to the workshops and host a few at a time.
Have the schools been receptive to it?
The schools that I've talked to, I sat down with a local principal, and she was wonderful, and she said this is exactly what these kids need. And I mean, obviously there's going to be a learning curve with this. I'm going to go speak at the schools for free, but obviously the workshop's going to cost something. So reaching the parents and letting them know that this is something that's going to be beneficial for your kids, and wanting the kids to go at the same time. And so it's going to be a learning experience all around, and we'll kind of see how it goes. But so this fall, hopefully by August, I'll start. End of August, beginning of September, we'll start speaking at schools. So
very cool. Well, good luck with that.
Thank
I can't wait
you.
to hear more about it, and I think it's going to be very beneficial. And I think it's where it's easy for us. Not easy, but we can sit here and say, man, these kids need to get their lives figured out, and we got to help them figure out, and we got to help the next generation, and I think we do. But then let's talk about how this kind of idea of clarity and direction affects us.
For sure.
As business owners, as parents,
It's
as spouses,
funny.
as citizens.
Because I had people I've told about this for the kids, and like, I need that. Like, my kids are graduating high school, and I have all this free time. I'm not running kids to sports. Like, I need that. Or the retirees that are like,
now what?
Now what do I do with myself?
Yeah.
So eventually it's going to get turned into a course for all the people. But
this has appeal for all of us.
Really. But my main focus and where my heart really is right now is reaching out to me when I was, in high school. So eventually it's going to come.
That was the reason I became a youth pastor. My youth pastor had a profound impact on my life, and I wanted to help young people kind of find their journey, and I think that's amazing. But I think that there's so many people out there that are out of high school, that are out of college, that are in the job that they hate. They bought into the philosophy of the American dream, so they got to buy the house, the car, have a few toys.
Keep up with the Joneses.
And then they buy all that stuff and realize it doesn't really make you happy.
No.
And then they have to go back to the job they hate to keep paying for it. It's this vicious cycle. And then the thought of starting over, doing something different. And so they're lost. They don't know what to do. And so I think that clarity in life and direction is not just important for young people. I think it's good to start there, but I think we got to figure out. So how do you make this application in your lives and in your business? How do you find direction, know where to go, how to go, where to get there?
I mean,
can I be honest with you? I still don't have clarity in my life. I have a general sense of what I want, where I want to go, but it's something that I still work on every single day. I mean, it is meditating. I've started meditating before I go to bed. I've started, journaling. Like, Nicole put me through a portion of her workshop. Like, it's something that I know I love design, and I know I love the creative, things like that. And my current job, while I love it, it's never a job that I intended to be at forever. So it's now just trying to figure out how to get out of that 9-to-5 mentality, and, it's okay to fail to find what is your clear direction in life.
Take a risk.
Yeah. There's no risk. There's no reward without some kind of risk.
Right.
Like, you have to, and you can't be afraid to dream big either, because you're not going to accomplish the things you want to if you don't actually take the steps to do it. And so the biggest thing for me, especially this year, is been setting goals, and it's been something that I preach in the workshop and when I'm speaking and to all of my friends. Like, it's been a monthly thing now. I write my goals out at the beginning of every month, and not just writing out literally every single goal for every aspect of my life, but then creating an action plan for those goals, like writing down the steps that I need to get to that point, because then it's not just a dream, it's actually a goal. It's something that's attainable. It's something that's motivational, but then also you realize what things you're actually working on, and it kind of prioritizes where you really want to go. Like, if you have 5 big goals, but you're really only taking steps towards 2 or 3 of them, you see where your priorities lie, and you see, what direction you kind of really want to focus on. So that's been a really big thing for me this year, is just because it's been a roller coaster every year. Trying to figure all this out and figure out like where I am now and where I was 7 months ago is mind-boggling to me.
Yeah.
So to kind of
take it one day at a time.
Yeah,
make
absolutely.
a step towards it each day.
Yeah.
I think writing your goals is important. There was a point in my life where I was writing my goals down every day. The same goals, just writing them out every day to keep them fresh in my mind. I heard Nicole on her Instagram stories this week talking about we're almost 6 months left to the rest of the year, which is amazing to believe. But where are you at on your goals? So I actually pulled my goals out and realized that I'm very close to one of my big goals, and I hadn't really tied it together because I've been working towards it, but I hadn't like quantified, oh yeah, this was a goal I set this year and I'm doing it. And so sometimes that can be just encouraging to know that you're on the right path. So that's another reason, not just to know it, but to know where your progress is and to know where you're lacking.
And being able to track them and celebrating when you accomplish one of those goals and not being so focused on I'm so good at that. I have lists of goals and I accomplish one, but I don't actually acknowledge the fact that I did because I'm on to working on the next one. So just celebrating your wins and focusing on the things that you're actually accomplishing because it's a big deal. Well,
and I think too, it's important that if you have this idea, this dream, this whatever, and then you say, I'm going to set some goals, I think it's important that you surround yourself with a few trusted advisors, like run your idea by a few people, and not that you should let them talk you in or out of it.
Right.
But and you can't give it to everybody because some people are just going to hate. Some people just aren't dreamers. Some people just don't take risks. They'd rather take the safe, the easy way out, as we call it here. And so I think find some trusted advisors. Listen to what they're saying, even the negative. Like take it in. Don't let it affect you or don't let it bother you, but internalize it. But get some honest opinion because I know, man, if you're like me, I have like $1 million idea every day. And they're not really $1 million ideas, but in my mind, like, oh, I'm going to do this. I mean, I remember at one point, even this year, I started thinking, because I'm a basketball coach. My boys really love basketball, and I played in high school, and I try to play now, but that's why I coach, because I can't really play anymore. And but we were taking the boys to some basketball camps, and I'm watching these camps, and I'm like, man, these camps are kind of lame. Like, these guys don't know how to really approach kids. Like, I know how I feel like one of the things that makes me a good coach is I know how to approach young people. It's not even that I'm a good X's and O's guy. I know how to lead and how to inspire. And so maybe I just need to start doing these basketball camps. Because then I also looked at like what these guys are charging. They got like 100 kids at $200 a pop. I'm like doing some math. I'm like, this is a week of work. And maybe so I had this whole idea, I'm going to start doing basketball camps. And then I'm like, talk to a few people and they're like, well, yeah, I can see that. But like, what about everything else you're doing? And so it's not that I might not ever do that someday, but sometimes if you get these harebrained ideas, it's not that you can't ever go after it, but if you have so many ideas and you don't bring them into focus and really know where you're going,
you have to commit.
Write them down and come back to them.
Exactly.
Like write them down so you remember what they are, but it doesn't have to happen right now. That's even for me. Like at one point at the start of the year, I was going to make candles, and I have this stuff, and I like making candles, but I'm not going to make money off of it or do anything. So
I want to talk to you about mandals.
Oh God!
This is one of my $1 million ideas. Mandals, man-scented candles.
They exist.
Do they?
Oh,
someone took my. See, I invented bottled water too, and someone took that. No, like mandals. Like candles that smell like freshly mowed grass, or like gasoline, or they're not gas, freshly mowed grass. Things that guys like the smell of.
Yeah.
It probably would be like a Spencer's gift idea. It wouldn't be a real thing.
No.
They sell those at Bath and Body Works.
I was going to say, I have a candle from my Kalamazoo Candle Company, I think, and it's called Fresh Cut Grass. And I don't know why I bought it because I hate fresh cut grass.
What is wrong with you?
Someone stole my idea. That's why you got to go after it, right? When you have an idea, you just got to go do it. But, well, I think that having clarity and direction is so important. Not only because of the things we're talking about, but it also really helps with your daily decision making as a human, but as in your business. Really, it really helps. Like you said, when you have this other new idea, when you're clearly focused on where you're headed and where you're going, and you have direction, it helps you compartmentalize these other ideas. And it's not that they're can't happen, or it's not that you can't go after it, but it helps you learn, like, I got to bring this all in. How does this fit under the umbrella that I'm in? Am I happy with the path that I'm on? Is this my path?
Right.
And then I'm going towards it, and how does this fit into that? And another thing that I've really talked to my kids about when they're talking about setting goals for their lives, we even made them, when school got out, set some goals for the summer. But then when you know what you're going at, how does that fit under the umbrella of taking you towards that thing? So I think that's extremely helpful to know, just because it not only gives you purpose in life, but it helps you with your daily decision making.
For sure. And remembering your why you're doing this, what you're doing. Like one thing, being a business owner, not having clarity, you're just throwing money at different things, hoping something sticks. And all you're doing is wasting that money. So that's something to keep in mind. Like, you got to really know what you're working on, but you also have to know why you're doing it, why you're doing what you're doing. Because if you don't know why or what inspires you or what you're passionate about, then it's you have to believe it to be able to sell it.
For sure.
Well, and it also helps people connect with you better when you know why you're doing it and you can tell people your why and inspire them. Then they're connecting with you, and then they come to you.
Right.
Well, and I know our viewers can't see this, but you guys can see right behind me. There's a big, huge 5 foot by 6 foot canvas that I designed that says "Remember why you started." It's behind me.
I'm like, wait, they can see that.
And the reason I put that up there is for that exact reason, because it is very easy as you start doing business and you start to have a little success and you start to make a little money, you start to lose sight of why you got into this whole thing. And I know exactly why I got into this. And money was like way down on the list.
Yeah,
it's a byproduct, and some people really don't like to hear that. But for me, that wasn't my why, and so I want to remember, like, let's not lose sight of why I'm doing this and where I'm headed.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about direction, and we've talked a lot about clarity, and I think that you guys have articulated it extremely well. I think that the things that you're working on for the youth of America is going to be tremendously beneficial, and I hope that it benefits you guys as well. But again, I think I would be interested in that even becoming a workshop that I would endorse and support for adults.
Right, that's my plan.
I would probably attend something like that. So you guys got your hands on a lot of things, which is great. It's awesome. It's okay to do more than one thing.
Absolutely.
You don't
it really
have
is.
to, but it's also okay to do one thing if that's what you're good at. But if you could only do one thing, like you had one thing, like I got to commit for some reason, you just held feet to the fire. I got to do one thing and get paid for it for the rest of my life. What would that be?
Mine would still be photography, I think.
Yeah.
It's never the same. No session is ever the same. It's constantly changing. There's so many different avenues, but I like being able to tell a story, and I like being able to capture those moments and memories and just make an impact with just a memory captured. So it's still my jam. I mean, as much as I'm focusing on a new path, coming into next year, and I might cut back a little, I'm never going to stop doing.
So hire a photographer that is passionate about what they do and is going to take pride in your work. You'll get great pictures.
Mine would be learning in some way, learning and growing. So while I don't think college is necessary, I'm constantly investing in courses to learn something new. I'm constantly researching to learn something new, reading books. If I could get paid to just learn something new, oh my gosh, I would be in heaven. I listen to webinars. I listen to podcasts and things that help me grow all the time.
Self-help, self-care.
Self-care, for
very,
sure.
very important. Not self-help, self-care. Okay, so at the end of it all, what does success look like to Nick and Hay? We talked about defining success. It's, what does success look like to you?
It's freedom. It's not just
You took my answer.
It's not just financial freedom. It's freedom to create my own schedule to be with my family. It's freedom to take a day off and not be worried about it. It's the freedom to not worry about working or when bills need to be paid, or if we want to take a break and go somewhere, or it's just the overall freedom of being completely in control of everything, every aspect of my life.
You're a ditto on that one? Okay. Well, and I would say my answer is almost exactly the same. And like I said, I've had this conversation a lot lately, and it's based around some conversations I've had with some people that are very close to me, but it's something that I have really been thinking about.
Well, there's a difference between being successful and there's a difference between success and being successful.
Okay.
You can have the best job and the prettiest house and drive the coolest car and still not feel successful.
Sure. some people might look at it and say you are, and you might not feel like you are.
It's all about how you feel about yourself.
Feeling fulfilled.
Yeah,
right.
You can have all the money in the world and still not, feel like you've made it.
It's something that I've really been trying to preach lately, but I'm really trying to figure out how to articulate it better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm working it out in my own life, and I'm one of these people that I don't like to tell people to do something that I'm not 100% sure of how to do it. Just I can encourage them, but I think that it's important if you're listening today that you have to define what success is to you. There's a dictionary definition out there, which is like achieving a goal or achieving something you set out to do. That's very generic. But, like you ladies said, time, freedom, be able to be with your family, be able to pursue the things that you like. And, there's always the endless question, time or money. And the thing is, I would choose time personally, but you got to have a little money to be able to have free time. So there's a balance there. But if you know your why, like we talked about, you have some direction, you have to define, I'm going to work towards something. What is that? And then you got to know if you are on the path of success. And I would say success is always a moving target.
Absolutely. It's ever changing. It's not.
Right. It's an ongoing thing. I don't know that there'll ever be a point in my life where I say, all right, I made it. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm just not that type of person. And that's okay too. But I don't feel at all like I'm a failure. I feel like I'm a successful person in my own light. And I think that's where you got to be. And there's so much negativity out there, and I think we have more access to information than we ever had.
For sure.
And so there's so many people that can judge you and what you're doing, and if you allow those things to permeate your mind, you start to doubt yourself. You have to be true to you and what you're doing and know that you're on the right path.
You can't play the comparison game. You can't, especially on social media, you can't compare your life to somebody else's highlight reel. You can't. You can see all the shiny, pretty things that they have in their pictures, but that doesn't mean
that's like one moment of their year.
Yeah, and you don't know what they're going through, what their life really looks like. So don't get so caught up in comparing yourself to everybody else when your definitions of success are going to be completely different.
Exactly. You see the highlight reel. Like I said, we see you ladies on there laughing and getting along. We didn't see the fight that happened on the day of the engagement. We didn't. You don't post that on social media. You post the
goodness.
You post the good things, and so you see people's lives, and you think, man, they get to go to the best restaurants, and they get to go on these vacations, and they get to buy these cars, and then you don't see all the things that are just there's real life happening.
Right. Yeah.
Everybody has bad days.
Yep.
So stop comparing yourself and just be you, do you, and be happy with that, and go after it. So. Okay, so I want to end our episode today. We've had some really good conversation.
Absolutely.
This is
and
fun.
I think we could go on for hours. And
Probably.
if you're still with us, we appreciate it. I hope these things have
hanging
inspired
out.
you. Yeah, absolutely. But what would be a first step? If there's someone out there that is looking to find this clarity, this purpose, this direction, I don't even know where to start. What's a good first step? Just something simple they could do today.
Dream big. I mean, think of your big dreams and let that be kind of what guides you in that direction. Don't be afraid. Like don't play small because you're just that's going to be the exact same things you're getting towards.
Right, you'll be there next week.
Yeah. Go for the big things that may completely seem like they're unattainable, but they're not. It's just you just have to work towards them.
Okay.
I think for me it's sitting down, and this is part of her workshop, and this is the part she made me do, is really sitting down and kind of journaling what you love, what you're good at, what you want your typical day to look like, what you don't like to do. All of these basic things that to be mindful of every day. We're rushing through things and just going through the motions. But if you sit down and really take the time of what I don't like about my day and what I don't want to do anymore, it kind of points you in the direction of where you do want to go.
Right.
Well, I think these are both excellent pieces of advice, and I would maybe just add to this. To also, a good first step would be you got to silence the hate in your life, the haters. And so if that comes to you through social media, if that comes to you because you're just around a negative group of friends all the time, if that comes to you because you just have people around you that just don't believe in you, then you got to find a way to either ignore it or separate yourself from it.
Absolutely.
Because if your circle, whether that's on social media, or whether that's your people, your friends, your family, if they're the people keeping you doubting yourself, then you're going to be stuck in that cycle forever. So maybe the good first step is to figure out the people around you and see if they're going to be a part of it, or if you might have to separate yourself for a minute. And I think that that's something that gets overlooked.
Yeah, like-minded people, surrounding yourself with like-minded people. And that's one of the things that I talk about in the workshop is the 5 people that you surround yourself with most are a reflection of who you are as a person. So do you, those are the kind of people that you want to be around, the like-minded people and the people that are going to lift you up and empower you and motivate you, instead of every time you talk to this one friend, you're like, okay, well, thanks for that,
I won't get too much into this because we could start a whole other conversation, but I'm in this leadership program for my job, and my coach, in one of our last coaching calls, he gave me this quote about what other people, we were kind of talking about getting stuck on other people, what other people think, and the quote is, "I will not let the words of others speak to my worth, but I will let them." Sorry.
That's all right.
I will not let the words of others determine my worth, but I will let them speak to my growth.
Yeah,
so
that's perfect.
That
Love
has
it.
I wrote it on a notepad, and I stuck it to my computer, and I look at it every day because I think that's so true.
Very, very true.
Yeah.
Well, ladies, thank you so much for being our guest today. Like I said,
Thank
we
you
could
for
talk for
having
hours.
us.
Very good
So fun.
conversationalist, and we had to have you guys on again. And good luck with
Absolutely.
everything that you're doing.
Thank
I'm
you.
really
Thank you
excited
so
to see
much.
what happens, and I'll be following closely on social media, so I'll know what's going on. But why don't you tell our audience just a minute how they can find you, whether it be the photography, the different things you're doing. This is your chance. The camera's there. Look at the camera and tell them all the different places they can find you. And, of course, on the video version of this, we'll make sure that we tag everything. But let our audience know where they can find you.
You can find me at Instagram. That's where I am mostly. So it's at Haley McGillen, HALEYMCGILLEN.
You can find my photography Facebook page. It's Details and Daydreams Photography. Facebook, Instagram, my website, which she designed. And then you can find me personally at Nicole Jenrow on Instagram and on Facebook. And then our
joint Instagram,
Yeah.
We're Sisters.
We're
We're
sisters.
sisters,
Yeah.
yep.
It'll be entertaining, I promise you.
Yeah.
It's a fun one to follow.
We just we kind of took a hiatus for a couple months, and we're just slowly getting back into it, but it didn't take long.
We're excited.
Yeah.
So if you enjoy good content, or if you're looking for a photographer, or if you're looking for any of these things, if you're interested, if maybe you're an educator and you think one of these workshops would be great for your school or your students, or if you want to know more about this stuff, look them up. You can reach us at azbiz.com as well, and we can help you get in contact with them. And thank you again for being here. We were excited to have you.
Thank you so much.
My mother used to tell me, you can't and never could until you tried. So go out there and do something big, my friends, and don't take the easy way out. We'll see you next time.
Hey guys, if you like what you saw today, please like and subscribe for more content.